when I started this whole Matthew thing, I really did not realize how many pretty difficult things Jesus said. And I'm also discovering for most of them, I have kind of Sunday schoolish explanations, but they're not very satisfying to me. So a disclaimer at the beginning. The last few installments that I've done have been less than satisfying for me, and I'd love to be able to guarantee I'll do better from here, but I probably won't. So I'm just going to dive in. We're at Matthew chapter 10, verse 26. So do not be afraid of them. You have to go back and remember that in verse 24, Jesus says, a student is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for the student to be like his teacher and the servant like his master. If the head of the house is called Beelzebub, how much more the members of his household? Okay, so the them would be the ones who were saying that Jesus, they're calling Jesus Beelzebub. They had said he was casting out demons by the power of demons. So then he so do not be afraid of them. That's the them, as far as I can tell. A broader thing for the apostles, I think, might have been just that there were there were groups of people as well as individuals who were directly opposing Jesus. And so, okay. So do not be afraid of them. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. In an election year, I think, I don't, whoever your candidate is, I'm pretty sure a lot of us are thinking and saying, that's it, that guy. Somebody needs to, well, that's not what Jesus is talking about, I don't think. Well, maybe, but again, okay, these words were spoken to the apostles. There principles we draw from them for us? Yeah, okay. So maybe the principle is, with God, there is no hiding of anything. No thought, no motive can be hidden. No behaviors that I might hide from other people will ever be hidden from God. Got it. That's the principle. And somehow, I suppose when I look at others, I'm usually thinking, it'd be fine to expose those things for those people. I don't really want him to expose those things for me, though. It goes on, and what we have is verse 27. What I tell you in the dark, speak in the daylight. Okay. It's metaphorical here. He's not literally saying, some of these things I've told you in the dark. You want to say them in the daylight. I think what he's saying is, tell it. Okay, and he goes on. What is whispered in your ear, proclaim from the roofs. Houses in Jesus' day in Israel were flat roofed. And the roof, some houses were 2-story, many were not. The roof, though, on these houses was a place of refuge from the heat. Early in the morning and late in the day, and maybe even in the middle of the day, a person would climb to the roof and hope to catch the breezes. In the book of Acts, the Apostle Peter was on the roof at Simon the Tanner's house in the middle of the day. Okay. That little thing. If you were on the roof and you started proclaiming, in which a proclamation implies saying it loudly. And on the rooftop, if you said it loudly, whatever you said was going to echo and bounce around the houses below. So what I think Jesus clearly was saying is, don't hold back. Talk about it. Say it. Okay. Then verse 28. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Ooh, that's pretty poignant right there. There are people who can kill your body, yeah. And Jesus says, don't be afraid of them. Now, I just have to constantly remind myself the context here is Jesus is telling his apostles, 12 apostles, whom he has commissioned to go and preach a message. The kingdom of heaven is near, to heal, cast out demons. And he says, don't be afraid of people who can kill the body. He's speaking directly to them. There are those people, there were in that day, who were seeking to do physical harm. I mean, it wasn't that long after this that Saul, before he became Paul, before his conversion to Christ, in that dramatic moment on the road to Damascus, he had gone a far distance, actually, to imprison, to capture, to drag back to Jerusalem so people could be physically punished for following Jesus. All right. But they can't kill the soul, Jesus said. Here's the deal. Rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Now, I'm using the New International Version, which is not perfect. There is there are issues in translation that things are rarely perfect. And so anyway, some people don't like the NIV. It's okay. There's a lot of other reliable translations, so pick one that you like. But I use NIV. And in the NIV, the one is capitalized one. The reference there, the interpretation, is this refers to God, the one who can destroy both body and soul in hell. I don't know many churches that have the balance between fearing God and trusting Him, fearing Him and loving Him, fearing Him and accepting His grace. That to me that's a toughie. That's a very difficult balance. Jesus here, remember, he's talking to the apostles. And are there principles we can draw? Well, yeah, of course. And this principle would be one, that there is one, the one, God himself, who has the power to destroy both body and soul in hell. There will be a judgment. And when that judgment happens, people will go to hell. There is a hell. It is real. It is a place of utter destruction, utter despair. Now, I don't have deep enough theological training to unpack the entire thing about this, but I do know enough to say we have something the apostles didn't at this point. We have this side of the cross. We have the grace of God, the for every believer, the presence of the Spirit of God within us. Don't forget, that had not happened yet for the apostles. The Spirit was, God's Spirit, the Holy Spirit was working with and through them, but as an external factor and force. Jesus, after he rose from the grave, he breathed on them and gave them the Spirit. But at this point, they didn't have that. All right, so let's look at the fear factor. I don't emphasize the fear of God very much at all. And maybe I should. Part of the reason I don't emphasize it so much is because I don't quite fully understand it. I think I did some word study on this, hoping that the idea of that we fear God was a reverential approach, humbly approaching with reverence. And it's there, but you can't get past that it means fear. I've said it before, but when I stand at the rim of the Grand Canyon and look down on it, I've been there many times. Every time I go, I'm struck again by the awesome beauty. And I often think I should be a little bit afraid of whoever did this because of the power. Don't get it much here in the desert, but back when we lived in Oklahoma and in Iowa, we'd have thunderstorms, lightning and thunder. You don't get thunder without lightning, you know. And looking at that, and tornadoes and floods, and I'm thinking, I think I probably should be. Should I not be a little bit afraid of that? Of the one who does that? His power? I am grateful that he is that powerful, and that I am covered by his love because of his grace. I can't say now I no longer should fear God. I can't say that. I don't know. I can't find a verse that says don't fear God anymore. I do know that it's very difficult to fear someone and trust them at the same time. It's possible. Difficult, but possible. And this is where I find myself with the fear of God. I want to never lose track of his power and authority, because he is the one with the power to destroy both body and soul in hell. And yet I have the assurance that that is not my destiny because of what Jesus did, because I trust him for that. Well, I made a mess of it again. I'll hit it again next time on So Care with Stevie Boy.